Hello friends, and welcome to An Idol Called Food. I'm your host, JT Tapias, and in today's episode, we're going to have an interesting interview with a good friend of mine, Ralph Smith. Ralph owns Ozempic. We'll be discussing how Christians should think about weight loss medication and whether they should consider Ozempic as an option. Before we jump into the interview, I'd like to talk to you about EYB Nutrition Plan. If you're looking for a fast, easy, and sustainable way to lose weight and keep it off, head over to coachjttapias.com and schedule a free consultation to get your journey started today. What Christians need to know about health-enhancing drugs. Hello, and welcome to the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan channel. This channel exists to bring glory to God in all ways, specifically highlighting the importance of temple stewardship. Today's a special day. We have a guest, a friend, and a brother in Christ, Ralph Smith. Ralph is a Christian, a husband, and a serial entrepreneur. He is the owner of Ozempic, and Ozempic is a medical online company that helps individuals enhance and embrace a graceful way of aging through healthy medical options. Ralph, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, JT. I appreciate you, brother.
Man, I can't believe we are in Medellin, Colombia.
It's incredible.
And we get to do this.
Oh, what a blessing it is. I mean, just the opportunity to be in a different country. And for those that don't know me, JT and I have been doing life together for, more than 15 years now, maybe?
More than 15,
and
yeah.
So yes, I account it a true blessing to be here with you today.
Man, and so at some point in time, we dreamed about coming to Medellin.
We did.
We never really talked about having an opportunity to sit down and talk about your expertise and how, of course, it complements, my coaching business. And so we're excited to bring value to you guys. If you're on the other side of this and you're asking yourself, is there a faster and easier way to bring my fitness and health goals to fruition? Don't go anywhere, because this interview is going to be exactly that. We're going to give you some nuggets that are going to allow you to bring your goals to fruition. So Ralph, I've been in the nutrition fitness space now for 23 years. And, in the beginning for me, it was all about training. You got to train if you want to be in shape. And that quickly took a transition into nutrition is 80-90% of the process, right? We subscribe to this idea. But then as time has passed by, improvements have come about, and just in science in general. And one of the big words nowadays in the weight loss space is Ozempic.
Yes.
Right? Now, a lot of Christians are skeptical of what people are saying out there. We see a lot of people that are not necessarily looking after people's health and well-being, but instead really looking at profits. And so I know there's a lot of skepticism out there.
There is.
Talk to us about Ozempic. Let's start there. Ozempic.
Yeah. There's a lot of misinformation online and a lot of confusion. And I decided to get into this medical weight loss space actually back in 2009. Where my experience derived from having some local clinics in the Tampa Bay area. That being said, things have changed significantly, especially with Big Pharma becoming FDA approved to sell things like Ozempic. But if you truly understand what Ozempic is, the active ingredient of Ozempic is called semaglutide.
Right.
And semaglutide is nothing more than a peptide. So what happens with semaglutide, it actually suppresses the appetite. But backing up a little bit, what happened is Big Pharma got approved.
Right.
Now you have all this marketing craze. You have a lot of celebrities that have been on Ozempic. Many of them have had great success and some not so great success, which is where the confusion lies.
Right.
And one of the values, I think, of being here today with you is to clear up some of this confusion, because primary care practitioners, especially when some are motivated by insurance, right? We all know what happens with the insurance industry and healthcare in the US. They're not necessarily looking out for the best interest of the patient,
right.
JT. They're offering these prescriptions, and then they don't talk to them for 6 months or even a year. And their patients are losing weight, but it's not healthy weight.
Right.
And this is what I really want to encourage everyone to become familiar with, is that Ozempic is a Band-Aid if you're not careful with it.
Absolutely. And so it is not the end all do all.
No, absolutely not.
But it definitely gives momentum.
Yes, it does.
I recently saw an interview with Peter Attia, Dr. Peter Attia.
Oh yes, very reputable.
And Dr. Peter was saying that he was seeing people lose weight but not decrease body fat percentages. Right?
Interesting.
Which was shocking, right? And people losing muscle mass.
Yes.
And so my understanding is as hunger decreases with Ozempic, with a drug like Ozempic, people are eating less.
Yes.
And many times they're malnourished.
That's right.
And so of course muscle is deteriorating.
That's right.
What's the happy medium there? And what are you saying to your clients on the other side in regards to, hey, let's lose weight, but what's the end goal with your clients?
The end goal is lifestyle modification.
Right.
If our customers come on and they have an interest in losing weight, we first need to identify where are they at in their season of life and where are they at with their weight management goals. Mm-hmm. We have some customers that are chronically obese. We have some customers that are struggling with type 2 diabetes, but we also have some customers that simply want to lose body fat percentage. Maybe they're at 18% and they want to diet down and lose maybe a healthy 10 pounds, but lose body fat, not necessarily overall body weight.
Right, right. I've seen, I see that in my industry. I have the people that just need to lose 10 pounds, people that need to lose 50, 100. These are two very different human beings, right? And the reason I say that is because the person that's looking to lose 10 pounds is generally the person that's looking for an aesthetic destination, a very superficial reason to lose weight, which, by the way, that's valid too, right?
I'm one of them.
Exactly. But then you have the person that says, hey, you know what? I've been yo-yo dieting my entire life.
Yes.
This is exhausting. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I've tried every diet, South Beach, high tide, low tide, and
all across the board.
And the weight just doesn't come off. And yes, I need the lifestyle modifications, but I need a big boost, and that's where Ozempic comes in.
Yes, it does.
I've heard some horror stories, by the way, from these drugs, right? Yes. There's actually a documentary out there, and I think it was shot somewhere in Australia. And the lady was saying how, her husband died. He had severe, he had like an intestinal blockage that he didn't, he took too long to get to the hospital and he died.
Constipation is an unwanted side effect from Ozempic.
So people on the other side automatically hearing this, wait a second, someone has already died from this?
Like, it's alarming.
How do you put that person at ease with the idea that there is a healthy way to use this for a little while?
Yes. I think to put individual at ease is, first, it always starts with a consultation. We have to understand the individual, where are they at in their goals, in their weight management process, have they been on a program before, and most importantly, the weekly check-ins. Because if an individual is not willing to accept or even be willing to make change in their lifestyle, such as poor eating habits, high greasy foods, high fatty foods, more water intake, you are going to experience unwanted side effects like constipation. You might have some cramping. And these are the things that, some of the things that make us different is that we are constantly engaged with these individuals to understand how they are proceeding in their goals.
Right. The other thing that I think is really important is really educating people.
Education is key. On
the idea that, okay, you're not hungry, but you still have to eat protein.
Yes. Right.
You still have to make sure you're nourishing the muscle, that you're bringing nutrient density in, and so to be clear, you own these places, but you have physicians that you're working with.
Absolutely.
And what does that look like? What do check-ins look like? How accessible are these doctors?
Yes. Accessibility is key. All of our consultations and patient engagement is through virtual visits. So we offer this nationwide in all 50 states.
Wow.
Which has been a real blessing to us. But what we have found, JT, is that with nutrition being such a major component and influence to success, we highly encourage this with nutrition plans, and we offer them education on plans such as Mediterranean diet, paleo diet, keto diet, right?
Yeah.
And again, it depends on where the customer is in their journey and what's going to be good for their lifestyle. But someone that is chronically obese is going to be on a very different program than someone that's just trying to lose 10 pounds.
Right. So you're tailoring it to people's
right.
needs. That's really good. And I know we're having some conversations how we can interact and how
Yes.
we can incorporate the Empty Your Bucket nutrition plan, which has 3 phases. But we always say that ketogenic phase is so important, especially to move the needle in the beginning, but that we know that that's not sustainable long term. And alongside Ozempic, that is a powerful, powerful combination. And so more to come on that. We're trying to figure out how we can interact that way. Ralph, there are just a plethora of options out there when it comes to enhancing health. And second to Ozempic is this whole idea of peptide therapy.
Yes.
And people using peptides for everything, for healing, for people that have injuries, people that even experience anxiety. I mean, they're just using peptides for everything. What is a peptide?
Oh, great question, JT. We get asked this quite often because there's not enough education on exactly what is peptide therapy.
Right.
And believe it or not, semaglutide is a peptide. Ozempic is a peptide. There's also another drug that has entered the market called tirzepatide.
Right.
That is a peptide. So then the question is, okay, well, what is a peptide?
Right.
At its most fundamental level, it's a molecule commonly known as amino acids. And amino acids are what's needed for muscle growth. In the case of weight loss, it helps suppress appetite. In the case of aging gracefully, it helps with skin elasticity. So there's a lot of benefits to peptide therapy, but I think there needs to be a clear distinction, and I get asked this as well. Is peptide therapy similar to steroids?
Right.
Absolutely not. They are polar opposites.
Right.
And we'll talk a little bit about TRT.
Right.
But peptides are not a synthetic artificial way of stimulating testosterone or human growth hormone.
Right, because peptides are a precursor
That's right.
to your natural secretion of chemicals in the body.
That's right, human growth hormone.
Exactly. So, which is fundamental, and this is something that we secrete in our bodies when we're developing.
Yes.
It's secreted from the pituitary gland, and then your body produces it. This is how you grow, you expand. But peptides are a controlled way, and depending on the peptide you use, you'll get that specific outcome. So you have peptides for weight loss.
Yes.
You have peptides for healing. You have peptides for muscle growth. But once again, they're not steroids, because oftentimes they get confused. People are like, "Oh, that's a steroid." Anything that's injectable, people automatically
get nervous about. Yes.
It's a steroid. I think the other thing that people that fear needles think about all the time is like, I don't want to poke myself. But a peptide is a subcutaneous injection.
It is.
Right? So it's a tiny needle.
Insulin needle.
And it feels like if someone were pinching you, that's it. It's painless.
Yeah, painless.
Right. Wow. So I'm assuming peptides would fall under the category of a micronutrient. You're basically you have macronutrients, which are your fats, your proteins, your fat, proteins, and carbohydrates, and then you have your macronutrients, which are your vitamins, your minerals, and then these aminos would probably fall under a micronutrient, which is interesting because this is where most people fail, and they fall hard on their face when it comes to bringing what they need. Right? People eat, but most people aren't supplementing. What would you say for that person on the other side that is looking to lose weight, build muscle? What would you say is the most common peptide used?
Yes.
In that combination?
The most common outside of the branded big pharma. They're called GLP-1 peptides.
Okay.
And I think it's important for our audience to understand that GLP-1 peptides are used for appetite suppression. You typically want to get your appetite suppressed between 30 to 50% when you're trying to lose weight. And the most commonly, what we talked about, the most commonly known names are like the Ozempic, but also the other peptide that we offer, which is tirzepatide. The commonly known name for that is Zepbound and Wegovy.
Okay.
Just last year, FDA approved them, so they're very safe prescriptions.
Yeah.
However, what differentiates us is that we work with compounding pharmacies, and we do not work with big pharma or insurance companies.
And you were telling me prior to us jumping on this interview that there is a sort of a protocol that you guys have to make sure that the medications that you guys are providing are are legitimate, clean
Oh, yes, absolutely.
labs that are, what are they, how are
Legit script verified.
Right.
So we only work and partner with verified compounding pharmacies, which are held to the highest standards. The industry is a bit, unfortunately, there can be some bad actors in all industries. And the industry has been under attack for many years now. And because of this, there are third-party auditors that are now involved that work closely with the FDA. And we challenge, when I say we, as a business owner, I work with the third-party auditor to let me know which compounding pharmacies are compliant with the FDA, which ones are held to the highest standard, which ones have certified scientists and the labs that are meet those high standards. Those are the only ones that we will work with, and that's really important for customers to know, because not all peptides are created equal.
So what you're saying is some of these sort of not so transparent labs are watering things down, right? So
It is known to happen.
So you're not getting the full impact of the medication because they're watering it down in order to keep
Yes.
profits up.
Yes.
Which is, wow.
No, it's bad business.
That's so unfortunate. And so the pharmacies you're working with, they are
Held to the highest standard.
what is it? What is a secure script?
Legit script
Legit
verified.
script verified.
Yes, and any of our listeners, feel free to Google this. Legit script is the new standard for compounding pharmacies or anyone in healthcare, especially telehealth companies like HMD.
That's awesome. That's good to know. Yeah, because there's so much stuff out there, and you're not sure what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge, right? The internet is flooded with information. It causes a lot of confusion, and ultimately, people have doubt. And what we're trying to do with our brand is position ourselves as a trusted brand that works with very high standards. And I'm pleased to tell you, especially on your show, you know, we are a faith-based company, and we operate at the highest standard because we realize we answer to someone other than ourselves.
That's good, man. That's so good. I think specifically for our audience, which is primarily a Christian audience, I think there's a piece that comes with understanding that the main goal is not profits, but instead to really honor God. And I think that's so important. And I think very few companies operate with that standard to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm in this world, but one day I will go in front of a sovereign God and give an account for everything I do. And some of the things that have been interesting and you know, really commendable are the fact that, you know, I've in specific situations with our clients that haven't been able to make progress just because they're so dependent on food, to not say addicted.
Yes.
You know, we've referred them to you, and we touch base with them, and they're like, hey, these people are on top of things. They're calling me. They're interested. You know, there's one of your team members that will stay on the phone with someone for 60 minutes. And,
Yes.
Incredible, because that's rare. I mean, companies want to make money. They don't want much interaction with their clients. But you guys are taking the time to really pour into people.
We genuinely care for our customers.
Right, which is amazing. Everywhere you go now, you look to the left, you look to the right, you see banners of testosterone.
Oh, yes.
Testosterone replacement therapy, testosterone this, TRT. You know, most people refer to that as steroids. Tell us the difference. Well, I think our audience would like to know why people need testosterone therapy.
Oh, well, men specifically, and testosterone therapy isn't limited to men, and we can talk about that in just a moment. But predominantly, the interest of TRT, or for men, as we age, our T levels decrease.
Right.
Starting at the age of 25, and every 10 years, your T counts begin to lower. You start to feel lethargic. Your libido goes down. You just don't feel like the man that you used to be.
Yeah.
And going through a medical doctor under clinical care. All of our customers, by the way, we have a great relationship. Our preferred partner is LabCorp. So all of our customers are required to go to LabCorp, get blood work done. The blood work is evaluated by our medical team and our clinical director. And whether if it's TRT or peptide therapy, depending on the individual needs, that's what they get prescribed.
So testosterone levels can vary anywhere from low, mid 200s to about 800 in a healthy male, right?
Some men like to get up to 1,000, but we don't like to recommend that.
But that's with optimization.
That's with optimization.
But I'm saying those regular scales on a LabCorp,
Oh, yes.
those values look anywhere from like 2.5,
Yes.
200, 250 to like 800.
800.
So a man who's operating below, say for example, 400 is like a neutered dog, right?
That's a good example.
Right?
Yes.
And if you look at a neutered dog, you can put a piece of chicken in front of it and it will not get up to eat it. It's just not motivated, because most of our motivation and impulse comes from that hormone, testosterone.
Yes.
It's that sex hormone, that driver.
critical.
It is a driver, right? Very much associated with all these other cognitive secretions like dopamine, epinephrine, serotonin. And when testosterone is low and these happy chemicals are not being secreted, people are depressed. There's a lack of motivation, which for women, it's called when they're going through menopause. For men, it's andropause. And it happens to males sooner than it does for women.
Yes.
I'm hearing things such as people at the age of 30, men at the age of 35 are already going through some form of andropause. Not all, but it is.
Some form, because what happens is the testosterone, your body naturally slows down on the production. And the stigma for men, they don't want to admit that they're not feeling the way that they used to feel, or they're not performing the way they used to perform. And they're very hesitant to even go get checked. And we always encourage everyone, like, I don't care what age you are, you don't be afraid to get blood work done and understand what is the root cause. Because operating with low T, there are studies out, men have become extremely depressed. Not understanding why. and when you have low T, and your lack of motivation to wake up and go to work in the morning, your lack or desire of self-purpose, it goes away. These things start to impact depression. And it could be you just have low T.
Right, because usually what we hear is, I'm just old.
That's right.
And so associated with I am old is I'm just tired, and that's normal because I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s. You know, one of the great examples for me was my grandfather. My grandfather stopped going to the gym when he was 95. He was a former cardiologist, probably one of the most well-versed physicians I've known when it comes to nutrition and micronutrients. And he started TRT in his 60s.
Oh, wow.
And I remember one day we were at breakfast, and I said, how are you? And he says, I feel great. I did my shot yesterday. He was talking about TRT. He was talking about testosterone. And I said, really? I said, talk to me more about that. He said, JT, if it weren't for testosterone, I'd be in a wheelchair right now.
Oh, incredible.
Right?
Yes.
And he says, I feel strong. I feel motivated. I sleep well. I eat well. And once again, he stopped going to the gym when he was 95 years old. The reason for him,
God bless him.
Yeah, the reason he stopped going to the gym was because he said he couldn't see his abs. His abs weren't getting any better. And so I remember he went to Gold's to cancel his membership, and everyone came out and hugged him because, he was one of the oldest guys there.
What a testament.
And he was an example. He truly was an example. But he was a proponent for TRT, which gave me a lot of peace of mind because he was a physician. So he knew human anatomy more than anyone. He knew endocrinology well, and he understood the benefits of being on testosterone. Now, testosterone isn't for everyone.
It's not.
Just like Ozempic or any other peptide. But specifically, when would you say, of course, they got to get blood work, right? That's the ultimate, that determines whether someone should be on TRT or not.
Data-driven. The lab works don't lie.
Right. But for people on the other side that are going, you know what? Yeah, I feel tired. Yeah, I'm not recovering well from my workouts. What are those symptoms that are most noticeable in a person that has low testosterone?
Oh, it varies, but I'll tell you the most common is being lethargic.
Lethargic.
If you have lack of motivation, you're lethargic, you're just not feeling good about yourself or your accomplishments, I would start there. That seems to be the most, but then unfortunately weight gain as well.
Right.
It's a big problem.
That belly fat.
Belly fat starts to come on, and especially you mentioned menopause. As we age, we all go through changes in life. And the most common for women is menopause, right? And we see this time and time again where a woman can be struggling with weight gain, and she'll try all the fad diets that you mentioned.
Right.
But she'll be on a roller coaster. And psychologically, it's very taxing, and she never addresses the underlying issue, and that's an imbalance of hormones. Balancing your hormones are very important for women and for men.
That's right. So for women, what I understand is that the pellet is big.
The pellet is very popular.
So are these the drugs called bioidentical or
bioidentical hormone replacement
hormones,
therapy?
Right.
Yes.
So this comes in the form of a pellet. It's a quick incision, right?
It is.
It's a happens in a couple minutes in the doctor's office. They insert a pellet into the glute, and then what I understand is that this pellet secretes testosterone with your heart rate. So in other words, it gets activated through movement, right? Which is cool because you don't have the peaks and the troughs from the injection.
Correct.
So it's very balanced out. So you're not feeling these like huge bursts of energy
spikes,
or these huge like drops in energy. For women, on the other side, I guess, is this something that most women get when pre or post menopause or both?
So just to be clear, HMD doesn't offer the pellets, but it is a very common form of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy.
Right.
And this is a treatment that is offered from a local clinic near you.
Right.
Yes, it is typically prescribed when a woman is going through premenopause or struggling with menopause symptoms, vaginal dryness, weight gain, lethargy, low sex drive, emotions, crying. There's a lot of different symptoms that come along with that. And again, getting your blood work done. If your labs indicate that a woman is going through menopause, then she can be prescribed these treatments like bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I want to caution on that. You have to understand that when you're doing a pellet injection, not all doctors are equal.
Right.
And it's very important that a doctor treats you with the right protocol and the right prescription, if you will, because there have been many cases where someone will get an injection with a pellet and it's too much or it's not enough and they spike too much.
Yeah.
Once the pellet is injected, there could be unwanted side effects from that as well if you are prescribed too many pellets.
Gotcha. So one of the things that, as a married man, I've been married for 12 years, when women go through their monthly cycle, us guys, we have no idea what that feels like. But my wife tells me that she doesn't want to get out of bed, right? And she just feels down and out. The cravings for food, and just really like depression just comes on, and which leads a lot of women to overeating.
Yes.
Have you heard of testosterone alleviating some of those menstrual issues that women have?
Yes, absolutely.
That's great.
And I know my wife would be comfortable with me sharing this with you, because she's a big fan of TRT and peptide therapy as well. She herself, she's now 57, and she went through her menopause cycle much later in life, and she was really struggling with hot flashes. Hot flashes and sleep disorder. Sleep disorder was another problem. And what she realized is that her testosterone was off.
Wow.
She needed a small dose of testosterone to get balanced. In conjunction with that, estrogen balance was really important. So being under the care of a licensed practitioner and understanding your very specific needs were critical to the proper dosing protocol that allowed her to overcome some of those unwanted symptoms.
And your wife was just here. We had an opportunity to all go out, and your wife looks amazing.
Thank you.
She does not look her age. She looks like she's in her 30s.
Sometimes she doesn't act it.
I'm sure she could say the same about you.
But that's why I love her so much.
That's great. That's great. So I guess for women on the other side that are watching this, one of the big questions is, okay, if I'm feeling XYZ way, I can go get blood work. But something that I've also heard with women and testosterone replacement is that if there's any history of breast cancer or any kind of cancer, that most likely they're not candidates for testosterone because it might obviously bring about
stimulate it. And that's the advantage and actually critical why you should be under the care of a licensed practitioner. Right. Not all women would fall into that category. Right. However, it is something to be mindful of. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I found fascinating, again, going back to peptide therapy, is if you're prone to, say, cancer, as an example, peptides won't have that inadvertent effect as like maybe testosterone therapy.
Interesting. Okay. Well, brother, I think we've talked about a lot of great things here. I think that on the other side for you guys, just know that these are options, ways to optimize, ways to stay young. I truly believe that God is interested in all aspects of our lives. We serve an intricate God, and I truly believe, and I'm constantly speaking about this, I believe your body, your temple, should be treated as such, and that this is a spiritual discipline like any other spiritual discipline, such as praying and fasting and meditating on the Word of God, is taking care of your body. Hence the reason when we eat, we say grace.
That's right.
It is a spiritual activity. And so taking care of our bodies is so important, and making sure that you're, getting advice from some of the great professionals such as, HMD and consulting and seeing where you're at through blood work is super important. How often would you say, here to close out, Ralph, someone should be getting blood work?
Well, any customer that we onboard and subscribes to any of our programs, we always start with blood work. We do nothing without having some labs that our medical team review and understand where the customer is at. Yeah. But I want to touch base just a moment on what you alluded to about our bodies being the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? Why should we look at ourselves beyond just the physical?
Right.
And so often we have customers that could be chronically obese, maybe they have eating disorders. There's an underlying issue there beyond just not exercising.
Sure.
Right? And most often we believe that there's a spiritual component that could be hindering the success of these individuals. We're big advocates of prayer. We believe that there's healing in prayer. We believe that there's healing through nutrition.
Sure.
We believe that there's healing also through these medical drugs that sometimes Christians may not be fans of, but if we believe that all things are under God's control, that even the medications that are brought forth to our customers are under God's control as well, if used with wisdom and with high ethics.
100%. There's that verse that says that supplement your faith with virtue.
Yes.
And every time I see that verse, what I hear the word saying is, yes, you're called to have faith, but you're also supposed to walk out that faith. And walking out that faith oftentimes says that we need to reach out to these professionals that God Himself has instituted.
Bless them with the talents.
Right. The Bible says that He's put judges and authorities in He's instituted them, right? And the same thing goes for doctors and professionals. And so, yeah, I know a camp inside of Christianity that says, let me just pray away and everything will happen. But we need to be proactive. We need to be wise. We're called to be wise.
That's right.
And this is looking into professionals and making sure that we're seeking help and that we're aging gracefully so that we can have long ministries. Because at the end of the day, God is going to call us whenever He calls us. But
we all have a purpose while we're here on this earth.
Yeah, and we want to live out that purpose as long as possible, so that we can impact others with the gospel. And so, if you're on the other side of this, you're struggling with some of these things, just know that there's hope for you. And Ralph, where can people get a hold of you? How can people learn more about you and your services?
All of our services are found online. You can visit agemd.com. Again, that's agemd.com. We are a telehealth company. All of our consultations and customer service is done through virtual visits. Just go to agemd.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us.
Awesome.
And we actually now have a live chat bot. So if you have any questions when you visit agemd.com, if you have any questions, feel free to just join that little chat down at the bottom, and someone will answer any questions that you may have.
Beautiful, beautiful. Rob, thank you so much for your time, your expertise, and I just want to commend you, brother, for making people a priority and not the bottom line.
Yes.
And doing things different. And it just says a lot about your walk with Christ. And I appreciate you and your expertise. Guys, you heard it. There's hope on the other side. Reach out, look for health, whether it's nutrition or enhancing your health with some of these meds that the Lord himself has put in place so that we can live full lives. Thank you so much for watching this interview. This is the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan channel. We speak about things that edify the mind, the body, and the spirit. If we're not friends yet and you haven't subscribed, please do so. We'll see you on the next video. Ciao, ciao.